Hello, welcome to the Good Old Days of Radio show. It's Tuesday, it's Comedy Day, and this is John Tefteller, your host. I don't believe, have ever featured W.C. Fields on this podcast. I guess that's an oversight because I've always liked W.C. Fields. There is a lot of radio on him, mostly the Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy show, where he engaged in a semi-weekly feud with Charlie McCarthy, and there are a number of those that exist, and we should play some of those sometime. In the meantime, we have something from right near the end of his career. Well, maybe not, I guess the end of his career, but also the end of his life. It's from October 28th, 1945, and Fields passed away December 26th, 1946. So a little over a year after this broadcast, Mr. Fields left this earth and never to be heard from again, except on radio recordings and films. If you want a recommendation for the very best W.C. Fields film, might I suggest a 1934 film called It's a Gift, in which he is scheming to purchase a orange grove farm out in California while running a drugstore on the East Coast. And it has to be one of the top 10 comedies of the 1930s. So if you've never seen W.C. Fields, that's the place to start. But of course, once you see that, everything else is kind of downhill from there because his films vary all over the place. They all have interesting elements in them, but they're not all that good. But It's a Gift is a monumental classic from start to finish. And for those young people listening, watch that one, and you'll see why W.C. Fields was so popular back then. He was known for being quite the alcoholic. It became part of his persona on film and on radio. And in a way, if you look at it objectively, you can watch his career and health decline over the years as he began to drink more and become more and more of a real-life drunk that he portrayed in the films. He created a thing called the Temperance Lecture, which was a routine about alcohol and drinking and all the rest of that. And it was so well received that it was issued as a special set of 78 RPM records with a beautiful picture of Fields on the cover. I have one of those here. And he does that Temperance Lecture live on this radio program that you're about to hear. My notes say it was produced by the Maskers Club of Hollywood. Tell you a quick bit about the Maskers Club of Hollywood. In New York, they had a social club for comedians and actors called the Lambs Club, which was located in Manhattan in a building. And all of the East Coast comedians and those types would gather for the Lambs Club, tell jokes, etc. Out on the West Coast, they had two places to go. They could go to the Friars Club, or several places, Friars Club, Hillcrest Country Club, and the Maskers Club. The Maskers Club was located in a little building just off Hollywood Boulevard, fully decorated with all kinds of old-time memorabilia. They were actually there and open still in the mid-'70s. They honored Groucho Marx one night, and I went there and recorded that event, which I still have the tape of. And it was fascinating to walk in the building because everything was old and ancient, and it looked like it had been there since the 1920s, virtually untouched. And it was virtually untouched. But they were still having events as of 1975, and I think they stayed open a little bit longer than that, maybe into the early 80s, and then they kind of vanished. They now exist online. I think there is somebody that's keeping their name and some memorabilia up on the internet. You can go find out. Just Google Maskers Club of Hollywood, Maskers, Masquers, Maskers Club of Hollywood, and see what you can find. But the real experience was being able to go there and see this ancient place with all this ancient stuff just sitting around and have these people there who were actually part of it way back in the 1920s, which is what happened when they gave Groucho his award there. All right, so W.C. Fields and the Temperance Lecture show is produced by William N. Robeson, who worked on Suspense and Gunsmoke and all kinds of good things. It has Ida Lupino on it, a great actress from radio, Reginald Gardner, who was in The Great Dictator with Charlie Chaplin, and of course W.C. Fields. I also see the name Agnes Moorehead here, and Elliot Lewis. Not sure what he's doing. Maybe different voices. Anyway. It'll be fun to hear this. If you like W.C. Fields, here you go.
The makers of Campbell Soup bring you Request Performance. Tonight you have requested W.C. Fields, Ida Lupino, Agnes Moorehead, Reginald Gardner, and the music of Leith Stevens in Request Performance, produced by the Maskers Club of Hollywood.
This is Ida Lupino welcoming you to Request Performance. Every Sunday night at this time, you'll hear a completely different cast of Hollywood stars chosen by you to perform your request. Tonight, the star in charge of the letter-answering department is the celebrated international wit, Reggie Gardner.
Thank you, Ida. Thank you.
Well, Reggie, here's the mailbag.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thousands of beautiful women in Hollywood, and I end up with the bag. Oh, well, let's reach in and draw out the first letter. Postmark, Sturgis, Michigan. Mr. Bert Clemens and the gang at the Elks Club would like to hear Mr. W.C. Fields voice a word of caution on the use of alcoholic stimulants. Of all things. So Request Performance brings you that eminent authority on temperance, W.C. Fields.
I wish I could get up. Thank you, Mr. Gardner. What was the topic again you wanted me to speak upon?
Bill, your subject for tonight is temperance.
Oh, yes, temperance. Down with rum. Ladies and gentlemen, ever since the beginning of time, there's been a drink problem. Quite a problem. Even a greater problem now. It's so scarce. Throughout the Middle Ages, the use of liquor was universal, and drunkenness was so common, it was unnoticed. They called it the Middle Ages. Because no one was able to walk home unless he was between two other guys. Our fellow says that. I was usually a middle guy, but through the years, enlightenment came, and with it, control of spiritus fermenti. Is that the proper pronunciation? The first instance of federal authority in this country was when George Washington put down the whiskey rebellion in Pennsylvania. And people have been putting down the vile stuff ever since. Now, before I go any further, please do not labor under the misconception that I have always been a teetotaler. My younger days, I was prone to take a nip. I chortle now at my former weakness in my otherwise strong character. But how well I remember my first encounter with the devil's brew. I happened to stumble across a case of bourbon. Went right on stumbling for several days after. Of course, now I touch nothing stronger than buttermilk. 90% buttermilk. However, I come from a very illustrious family. My grandfather was a friend of Benjamin Franklin. In fact, my grandfather would have discovered electricity, but he was too poor to buy a kite. He had to go out and hire one. I have a picture of him now at home, standing in front of the town tavern. He was hiring a kite. Much higher. My heart bleeds when I think that right at this moment, throughout our fair land, thousands of misguided trolls are hitting the bottle. Change pages. My friends, you set a bottle of beer in front of a pig, and he'll grunt and walk away. And so should you. Or would you rather be a duck? Remember, the joys of alcohol are fleeting, and the toll is terrible. Back in my rummy days, I would tremble and shake for hours upon arising. The only exercise I got. A man who overindulges lives in a dream. He becomes conceited. He thinks the world revolves around him, and it usually does. So, friends, my advice to you is to abstain. Break all the bottles in your possession. Don't say now that you can't swear off drinking. It's easy. I've done it 1,000 times.
W.C. Fields will be back later to answer another request. The next request performance letter is from Miss Margaret Doughty of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Miss Doughty had the superb taste to request the appearance of a chap named Reginald Gardner. Well, here I am, Cedar Rapids. I should like to tell you of Mrs. Worthington, about whom Noel Coward wrote a song. She's typical of a very dangerous species of animal known as the stage mother. A stage mother can be identified by its shiny black patent leather pocketbook, its hat bearing 2 hummingbirds, and its abominable child. I have prevailed upon one of the stars of MGM's Our Vines Have Tender Grapes to give her impression of this terrifying creature, that fine character actress, Agnes Moorehead.
Ida, put away that Cracker Jack. You've already found the prize.
I had it, too.
What was it?
A whip.
Now pull down your dress, baby. We're going in to see Mr. Gardner.
No, I don't want to see Mr. Gardner.
Mr. Gardner is one of the biggest producers in the theater. He can make you a star.
I don't want to be a star.
Hush, baby. You're going to be a star, or Mom will tie a knot in your curls and strangle you.
You may come in now, Mrs. Worthington.
Oh, Mr. Gardner. Ida and I are so thrilled. Ida, perform.
I don't want to.
Perform for Mr. Gardner.
All right. On the good ship, a lollipop, it's a quick trip to
No,
the
it
candy
can't be.
shop. I'll
Mrs.
never
Worthington,
smile again until
Shut
I
up.
smile at
Shut up!
Like something brighter?
After hearing this performance, I have only one thing to say. Don't put your daughter on the stage, Mrs. Worthington. Don't put your daughter on the stage.
Why not?
The profession's overcrowded and the struggle's pretty tough. And admitting the fact she's burning to act, that isn't quite enough. She's a big girl. And though her teeth are fairly good, she's not the type I ever would be eager to engage. On my knees, Mrs. Worthington. Please, Mrs. Worthington, don't put your daughter on the stage.
I've been told she's another Lupino.
No, don't put your daughter on the stage, Mrs. Worthington. Don't put your daughter on the
The
stage.
theater girl is crazy for
Though
her.
they said at the School of Acting she was lovely as Peer Gynt, I'm afraid on the whole an ingenue role would emphasize her squint. It's a loud voice. And though it's not exactly flat, she'll need a little more than that to earn a living wage.
Buts.
No more buts, Mrs. Worthington.
Buts.
Nuts, Mrs. Worthington. Don't put your daughter on the stage.
This is Del Sharbutt. Next Sunday night on this same half hour, a letter that you write to Campbell Soup's Hollywood may bring your favorite star to this microphone. So send a message tonight to Campbell Soup's Hollywood. Meanwhile, here's a message from Campbell Soup's to you. The new pack Campbell's Tomato Soup is waiting for you at your nearest grocery store, made from this summer's finest tomatoes to help you serve tempting and nutritious fall meals. Tomatoes, you know, are an important health food, and Campbell's use such luscious tomatoes carefully blended into a smooth puree with delicate seasoning and fine table butter added, according to an exclusive recipe. Good. You bet it's extra fine tomatoes and years of know-how that make Campbell's Tomato Soup so deep down delicious. It's the soup most folks like best. You'll want to make Campbell's Tomato Soup a regular part of your fall meal plans. And that's easy now that your grocer has the new pack. Want to remember to pick up several cans of Campbell's Tomato Soup next time you go marketing? Campbell's Soup on your shelf is like a part-time cook in your kitchen.
Our next request performance letter is from Mrs. Sam Schwartz of Venice, California, who asks for a story from the best-selling book of all time, the Bible. The casting is unusual, too. The stars of the story are two of the finest actresses of our day, Miss Ida Lupino and Miss Agnes Moorehead, with Elliot Lewis in a request performance dramatization of the Book of Ruth.
In the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in Bethlehem, Judah. So my husband and I and our 2 sons crossed over into the country of Moab. It was there my husband died. My sons took them wives of the women of Moab. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other, Ruth. For 10 years I dwelled with Mahlon, Naomi's son. Then he died, and his brother Chilion died also. And Naomi was alone, left of her 2 sons and her husband. Daughters, I am an old woman. I am leaving the land of Moab to return to my people in Judah. Surely we will go back with thee unto thy people. Why will you go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb that they may be your husbands? Turn again, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. And if I should have a husband tonight, and should also bear sons, would you tarry for them till they were grown? Nay, my daughters, it grieveth me much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. Go now, both of you. Then farewell, Naomi. Farewell, Orpah. I will not leave thee. O Ruth, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after her. Entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me.
And so, after 10 years, I returned, with Ruth beside me, to the city of Bethlehem.
Is this Naomi? Can this be Naomi whom we knew?
Call me not Naomi, which means pleasantness. Call me Mara, bitterness. For the Almighty hath dealt very bitterly with me.
Who is the foreign girl that follows her about? Who is the woman of Moab? Why is she here?
I was a stranger in an alien land. We had no bread, Naomi and I. And so at the time of the harvest, I went into the fields to glean after the reapers. A few wisps of grain which spilled from the carts or which the reapers left behind. These were for us, the gleaners, the strangers. I bowed my head with theirs. I gleaned with them, and I sang their song.
Who is he? It is Boaz, the owner of these fields.
Woman of Moab,
Yes, my lord.
what is your name?
Ruth, my lord. I pray you, let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves.
You are welcome here. When you are thirsty, go and drink of the water which the young men have drawn. Eat of our bread.
Why have I found grace in thine eyes, seeing I am a stranger?
I have been told of all the kindness thou hast done unto thy mother-in-law.
Let me find favor in thy sight, Boaz, for thou hast comforted me.
When the barley harvest and the wheat harvest were past, Boaz called his kinsmen together.
Be ye witnesses. This day do I take Ruth, woman of Moab, the wife of the dead, to be my wife.
We are witnesses.
Boaz, may the Lord make the woman who has come into thy house like Rachel and like Leah, which two did build the house of Israel.
The Lord made his countenance to shine upon us and gave us a son. I took the child to my mother-in-law and laid it in her bosom.
Oh, there is a son born unto me. A son. He shall be the restorer of my life, the nourisher of my old age.
No longer shall you be called Mara. You are Naomi again. Naomi, the mother of sons.
Thank you, Ida Lupino and Agnes Moorehead, for a beautiful performance.
When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah,
We'll give him a hearty welcome then. Hurrah, hurrah.
This is Ida Lupino. Request Performance has a request to make. 12 million men and women who brought us to victory are heading home. Your dollars help them to win. Your dollars will help to bring them home. Tomorrow is the first day of the Victory Bond Drive. The money you invest in Victory Bonds will care for the wounded, supply the occupation troops who are ensuring the peace, and fuel the transports homeward bound. 12 million men are watching us during this bond drive. They finish their job. Let's finish ours.
Let each one perform the part to fill the joy the lawyers are. We'll all feel gay when Johnny goes laughing home.
Request Performance acknowledges a most unusual request from a very imaginative chap in Chicago, name of James A. Brimston. He wants W.C. Fields to drink a glass of water.
The fellow must be nuts.
No, Bill, no. This fellow really wrote in and wants you to drink a nice, tall glass of water.
Why, my boy, I haven't had a drop of water on my tongue since the gold rush days. I was up in old Alaska, and I made the mistake of picking my teeth with an icicle. I nearly strangled a deer. Those were the days, Reginald, my lad. I must have crossed the frozen tundra with my trusty turn the page. My trusty dog team, Balto, my lead dog.
Hey, by the way, whatever became of Balto?
We were starving, and I ate him. At long last, I arrived at the igloo of an Eskimo friend of mine who distilled a delectable beverage from whale blubber. Ever taste whale blubber? No, you never tasted it. It doesn't matter. It was very palatable and delicious when served with tiny fish cakes.
Yeah, that's all very interesting, Bill. But now, how about drinking that glass of water?
Oh, yes, gold. That's what we were after. Nuggets as big as cantaloupes. Gold. That's what drove men mad. Gold. And a lady that was known as Lou.
Yeah, I give up. Ida, see what you can do with him.
Well, I'll try, Reggie. Come on, Mr. Fields. Just take a little nip of this aqua pura.
My dear Miss Lupino, I don't even know where to,
Aqua pura, darling. You know what it is.
Aqua pura, no, I don't. This is something like it, I imagine. Only there's colors on the glass. Aqua, I don't even, Why, up in Nome, there wasn't a place in the entire town that even served water as a chaser. Those were the days, gold nuggets as big as cantaloupes, and a lady that was known as Lou.
Yes, we've heard all about that, Mr. Fields. Now, how about taking a little drink?
Gladly. Have you a bottle on you?
No. I mean water.
Oh, you mean water. Oh. And nuggets as big as cantaloupes. That's what they were. The lady was known as Lou.
Yes, but water's good for you, Mr. Fields. Now, come on, take a teensy-weensy sip.
Teensy-weensy. No, you're not going to teensy-weensy me into that.
But this is request performance. That's the whole idea of the show. When somebody writes in for something, you've got to do it.
I pause here for a query. Supposing some fellow should write in and ask me to jump off the Empire State Building.
That'd be silly.
Surely. Well, it's just as silly an idea as to drink this.
Oh, come on, Bill. It won't hurt you. You don't have to drink the whole glass.
Well, no, you can't drink a whole glass. Odd-looking stuff, don't you think? Who painted those roses on there? Yes, they're not even an olive or a cherry in it.
Now open your mouth, Mr. Fields, and I'll just put a few drops on your tongue.
Nuggets as big as cantaloupe. That's what they were. And a lady that was named Lou, or they called her Lou, or something else.
Yes, Lou, that's right. Lou.
Yeah, Lou, that's what that says. Thank you very much, Mr. Gardner. Oh, yes, Lou. Mush on, I cried. That's what drove men mad.
Look, we'll have to use force. I'll hold his nose. Ida, will you pour?
Yes. Now, come on, Mr. Fields. You can do it.
Take more than you two to hold my nose.
Come on, drink it.
Unhand me. Stand back. It ain't a fit night out for man or beast. And it's been storming for almost a fortnight. But I'll take the hideous stuff and try to drink it.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Unhand me.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Cup of hemlock.
The big moment has arrived.
Get through my stuff, will you? Unhand me this cup of hemlock.
Ladies and gentlemen, the big moment has arrived. Mr. Fields is reaching for the glass of water. He's lifting it from the table, and then he goes up to his lips. Now he's starting to drink. No, he's just sniffing it. There goes the glass back to the table. Now he's lifting it again. The crowd's leaning forward, tense with excitement, and there goes the glass back to the table. Then it goes up again. A look of determination steals over the champion's face. He grits his teeth. Now he ungrits them, and there he goes. He's drinking the water. And now, Mr. Fields, will you say a few words to our radio audience?
Is there a doctor in the house? I've been poisoned.
At this point in request performance, we may be able to prevail on Del Sharbutt to say a few words in praise of Campbell's soups. I may have to twist his arm.
Why, Reggie, it's a pleasure to praise Campbell's soups. In fact, they're my favorite subject. Ladies, how about planning many of your fall lunches and suppers around steaming bowls of Campbell's tomato soup?
Well, I decided to try that weeks ago, but there was no tomato soup at my grocery store.
Well, then try again, for now the new pack Campbell's tomato soup is on your grocery shelves, ready and waiting to help you serve the sort of meals your family like. Campbell's tomato soup, you know, is made from the season's finest tomatoes, blended into a satin-smooth puree with golden table butter and just a touch of seasoning added to point up the lively tomato taste.
Good.
Good is right. Serve it as the main lunch dish with milk added as an extra nourishing cream of tomato. Or start off supper with Campbell's tomato soup, say, tomorrow. The family will be mighty pleased to find it waiting for them once again. And you'll be delighted, too, because it makes the rest of your meal so easy. Campbell's soup on your shelf is like a part-time cook in your kitchen. You've been listening to Request Performance, the stars you request, performing the things you request. Tonight's performers were W.C. Fields, Ida Lupino, Agnes Moorehead, Reginald Gardner, Elliot Lewis, your composer-conductor, Leith Stevens, your director, William N. Robeson. Each week, the makers of Campbell's Soup present two big shows from Hollywood. The Jack Carson Show every Wednesday night and Request Performance every Sunday at this time. Next week, in answer to your letters, Request Performance brings you an entirely new cast. Dick Powell, June Allison, Basil Rathbone, Nigel Bruce, and Dr. Lee DeForest, the father of radio. Ida Lupino will soon be seen in Warner Brothers picture Devotion. Reginald Gardner in the 20th Century Fox production The Dolly Sisters. The material for W.C. Fields heard on tonight's program was written by Bill Morrow. This is Del Sharbutt inviting you to send in your request to Campbell Soup's Hollywood. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Well, that was quite a treat. W.C. Fields in the Temperance Lecture, which I had heard before, and as I say, I have the 78 RPM record set that they issued. And then the second skit about asking him to drink a glass of water, that I had not heard before. Fields is quite old sounding in this. If you have a chance, and we get around to it at some point when we play some of his appearances with Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy in the late 30s and early 40s, his voice is much more vibrant, his delivery is much better, much more spot on than this. He definitely sounds old and kind of sick here, and possibly had a little bit too much to drink before doing this show, because that wouldn't surprise anyone if that was the case. But still, he pulled it off, and it was fun. Interesting that they noted that the following week they would have Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce. I can't imagine they're doing anything other than a Sherlock Holmes skit, but maybe. Do we know about this one? Does this exist somewhere? May have to look that up and try that for another episode. This is the American equivalent of Command Performance. We've played a number of Command Performance shows on this podcast over the last 2 years, and they were done exclusively for the Armed Forces Radio. No one got paid, and it was a donation to the effort of World War II. In this case, this is a little bit after World War II ended. It ended in August of 1945, and this is October 28th of 1945. But they are continuing on network radio with a show similar to Command Performance. I don't think this lasted very long either. But in any case, it's fun, it's good, and glad to have been able to present it to you today. All right, this is John Tefteller in the Good Old Days of Radio show. We will be back on Tuesday. No, this is Tuesday. We will be back on Thursday with episode number 3 of Carlton E. Morse's great show, Adventures by Morse, and the sub-show of The City of the Dead. So if you're into weird and creepy stuff, tune in, tune down, whatever. Find it on the internet, however they do it these days. On Thursday for the latest episode of that. See you then.